What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Lurker back with another video, and today we are checking out, we are checking out Jubilee's, it's the second part to their feminist versus anti-feminist, middle ground. I originally did the one where it was male feminist versus male anti-feminist, and now this video I wasn't going to react to because it's 54 minutes long, but I figured, what the hell, I did the first one and the first one was long, so I might as well do the second one, especially since it just came out as of 1 hour ago of me recording this. So without further ado, let's just hop straight into it in 3, 2.
If you're a lurker on somebody's channel, make sure you tell them that you've been watching their shit for as long as you've been watching their shit. Make sure you show love to these motherfuckers that's trying to do what we've been doing for years.
It's like an expression,
show
right?
some
Like a
goddamn
Star
love
What's
and
good,
stop
YouTube? It's your boy.
lurking, okay? And we love all of you, and we fucking respect the shit.
Some pretty blanket statements saying feminists don't care about it. And you say,
it.
you think that all women just are
Yeah,
against
see,
men?
that was the last
Well, to answer your
episode.
question, yeah, you're talking about women. Women are not all feminists.
Yeah.
I didn't even
Step
plug in my
forward
headphone.
if you agree with the
Okay,
prompt.
I plugged in my headphones
If you're a
now.
woman, you should be a feminist.
Why didn't I plug in my headphones? I was just sitting here with my headphones on.
I think the
They weren't
concept
even
of
plugged in.
anti-feminism is like counterintuitive as a woman. Like everyone should want equality of sexes, you know? Everyone should want to have the same education level, the same all these things in a position and still make as much as a person who identifies as male.
In this
Fair.
society, we have to be feminists
Hold on.
as women.
I was doing a lot of stuff. What's the prompt? If you're a woman, you should be a feminist. I disagree with that. I'm sure all the feminists agreed.
Because there's certain things going on where our rights are being stripped away, and black women, black trans women are more likely to be murdered and attacked, and that's absolutely a feminist issue, and that's something that everyone should care about.
Everyone of any gender expression, men included, should be feminist.
I think there are different brands of feminism, if you will, that don't represent what I think all of us here feel is the true ideal of what feminism
Absolutely,
is.
and I don't think that everyone has to be active as a feminist in the exact same way. Like, not everybody can march, not everybody can protest, not everybody can really be an advocate for feminism.
At the end of the day, it's
I kind of want to hear what the anti-feminists have to say, because all of the anti-feminists stood, which made sense.
taking a look at patriarchal systems and seeing the flaws in those systems and how they negatively impact everyone.
I pause on that thought, and the disagreeers step forward.
If you're a woman, you should be a feminist. Yeah, I disagree. Because I feel like you can be a female. They're basically undermining their entire existence because they're female anti-feminists.
Woman, go.
Define
please.
woman.
One of you.
A person who their internal idea of what they are is a woman.
Terrible definition. Coming from a lesbian, that destroys the very concept of our sexual orientation. Just saying that it's an idea. Why?
Why?
Because you can't be connected and sexually attracted to somebody's brain.
Let's make sure to keep it to the prompt. If you're a woman,
Oh, they're doing what the guys were doing. That's probably why this video is so long. So you can already expect them to be going off topic a whole bunch of times.
then you should be a feminist. Why do y'all disagree with that?
Okay.
Why do you think that is? Comment below. I wanna hear some of your guys' ideas. Why do you think that they always, like, for something like this, feminism, why is it such a controversial topic that gets thrown off tangent? Because these guys are probably gonna go off tangent a lot.
I completely disagree. You know, exactly 2 years ago, if I had done this, I probably would be a feminist. But then I started to look at, and I think like, what do black women gain from feminism? Because I remember even during Black Lives Matter, when I led 2 protests for black women, and I counted how many white women I saw there, and the ones who were there who were just there to take pictures for social media, and then the black men also hiding behind us. Everyone, the whole world hides behind black women. Enough. As a
Same thing
matter
that's
of
happening.
fact-
Look what's happening in Iran. People on the feminist side right now are not speaking up for those Iranian women. I have a friend that is trans woman living in Iran right now. It's miserable. Nobody stands up for that poor girl.
As a woman, I particularly think I'm a humanist. For example, 2 years ago, I was a virgin feminist, and I made a decision to pivot my platform, teach black women how to sit in our feminine energy, because we've never experienced that.
Well, that just sounds like black feminism to me. Teaching women how to do that in the time that we are in now.
But we're not learning fast enough. We deserve to rest. We deserve to relax. We deserve to choose if we want to be a traditional wife. I went from law to being a CEO to now I just want to be a housewife. And every time I say that, I get so much hate. Like, women work so hard to get to this point. Why do you want to be a housewife?
Because that's what you
my
want.
choice.
That's what you want. That's the whole
Feminism
point.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if a woman wants to be a housewife, let them. Like, why are you gonna be like, oh, the patriarchy pushes that agenda? And it's like, no, that's just what they want to do. Like, did you ever think about that? That sometimes people just want to do what they want to do.
About choice. Exactly. Why can't I choose? That's the whole point of feminism. It's like, why can't I choose? What are you missing in America to claim that you are oppressed as a woman?
Well, we just had our rights to our own uteruses stripped away.
The right to murder your own baby, though. I mean,
It's not a baby, it's a clump of cells.
Oh, here we go.
I think so.
Here we go. Now we're talking about abortion. And this says, if you're a woman, this is the prompt. If you're a woman, you should be a feminist. Now they're talking about abortion. What the hell does that have to do with anything? The freaking producer is going to chime in and be like, get to the script, guys. Let's just go to the second prompt.
I was right here.
I think everybody's going to agree and disagree.
Yeah,
on
that's
that,
a whole.
but I don't know if that's another topic. That's another topic.
I had a very, very hard time not stepping up to that prompt because my whole life I did consider myself a feminist. Seeing how this modern wave of feminism has now turned into something very different than equal rights. We all want equal. Of course, we want equal rights. We want equality as women. Of course.
But how can you have equal rights when you can't define the word woman on the far left?
Alta had a Women's Day recently, and the Women's Day was celebrated by 2 trans women who still had their male parts. I mean, you're pushing women out of womanhood.
I'm sure
Yeah, that is true.
we're going to have discussions about whether or not a trans woman is a woman, but I actually want to go back to how we feel that our ideal of feminism is probably not the way that you four think of feminism. I'm willing to bet.
I agree with that. I think that's why people like me stepped away from that. Not because we're not women empowered or believe in women empowerment.
It's because we are women empowered.
It's because we believe women empowerment means something different than what you guys believe in.
And what I see now. Pause there. We're going to reset. Next prompt.
Yeah. Finally. Took them 5 minutes to get there. 5 minutes on one prompt. There's no... Okay, now we're talking about abortion. There's no wrong reason to get an abortion. I'm pro-choice because I'm a guy, and I think all guys should be pro-choice. I think it's weird if a guy is pro-life because it's like the baby isn't even coming out of the guy. Baby has to come out of the girl. So it should just be up to the women to decide.
There's no wrong reason to get an abortion.
Yeah, I think there could be wrong reasons to get an abortion.
If you were making a health decision between you and a medical professional, that is the right decision for you, your body, your future, it is always the right decision.
I would never stand between anyone with a uterus from making a decision about their body.
No, yeah, they're like, you can do it. You can have this health. You can have this health care if you are a victim of incest or a victim of rape. Like, you should be able to have access to that. What if you want it? You know, it's the same as going into the doctor and getting a routine check. If there's something for your body that you think will, you know, not just benefit you, but help you live and also help you sustain an actual good life for your child, then that's what you need to do.
And financial is a huge thing too.
It is a huge thing.
It's an extremely huge financial responsibility to have a kid, and some people just don't have that means.
I agree and disagree. I'm definitely pro-choice. I'm probably the only anti-feminist that's pro-choice.
Being pro
Yeah, I'm pro-choice
is
too.
actually very common. It's like 78% of Americans.
Okay, so yeah.
There's actually many people who are in your category.
Yeah, to me, it makes sense in certain
She said
circumstances.
she's a lesbian though, right? Yeah, I'm on her side right now because I'm pro-choice, but I'm also, I guess I would be considered anti-feminist. I just wouldn't consider me any of a feminist or an anti-feminist. I don't care about feminism because I believe that women in the West are, you know, have equal rights as men. Now, if we're talking about over in the East, it's a little different, but the West Western culture, I guess women just don't realize how good they actually have it. And I can say that as a black man, because as a black man, I realize how good I have it. I could be living in Africa, you know? Not to say living in Africa is bad, but I've already gotten accustomed to a certain style of living. I mean, I could live in Africa. I just wouldn't have Wi-Fi. Anyways, now I'm getting off topic.
I don't think people should be using abortion as a form of birth control. I think, to me, abortion's, believe it or not even the issue we need to be talking about right now. I feel like we need to be talking about how to properly educate people, no matter what their status is, no matter what their sexual orientation, whatever. And we need to go from there.
Well, I think I have a very interesting perspective on this because my mother opened the first Planned Parenthood in our state.
Oh, wow.
She is very pro-abortion outwardly, but inwardly in our home, we weren't allowed to do it. And so growing up at that dichotomy really, I think, messed me up a lot because I was like, okay, which one is the truth?
There are wrong reasons to get an abortion. A wrong reason to get an abortion.
I feel like there are wrong reasons. I'm so pro-choice, but
going through your pregnancy and all of a sudden you change your mind. If you are irresponsible and
like, I don't think you should be able to get an abortion when the fetus is like an actual baby. Like, if you've had a kid, you've gone through the months of like seeing the sonogram or whatever of the baby actually developing, and you know that before the baby's actually born, what is it, like 8 months or maybe 7 months? Maybe 7 months it becomes an actual baby, and it's just finishing up the fine tuning before the 9 months and it comes out. Because there's been babies that have been born premature up to 7 months. So at 7 months, you know for a fact that that's a baby. If humans have been born at 7 months, then that means 7 months baby. If it's 7 months, I don't think you should be able to get an abortion, because at that point I think you're actually killing. I feel like that baby can feel pain, and none of us know what that feels like because none of us are dead. Like, none of us know what it feels like to die. So you can't sit there and then try to say how, oh, well, that 7-month-old fetus won't feel a thing or whatever. You don't know. You don't know what that feels like. Anyways, let me get back to it.
all of a sudden finding yourself scared of motherhood.
When people say that they don't,
I've seen 7-month-old babies
because they just don't want to be pregnant anymore, they're not actually understanding the way that an abortion works.
Or not
Most
seven,
of the time they're
not 7-month-old babies. Like, not a baby that's 7 months old, but babies that are born premature at the 7-month period. They're born like 2 months premature, and then they got to stay in the ICU for like months before they can come home. Yeah, I've seen that. That shit is sad because it is so stressful for the parents of that child. What are they going to be thinking? They might be thinking their child might pass away, and that's a terrifying thing to have to go through. Let's see what she's talking about.
talking about late-term abortions.
Yeah, late-term abortions.
And what a lot of people don't realize is when you have that kind of abortion, you have to give birth to the fetus. There's no going back. You're literally giving birth to a body. It's never...
I don't think so, because I think when you get a abortion, a late term, they have to take the baby's body parts apart to fit through it, because because in order for them to force a birth, they'd have to be able to force contractions, because I don't think it would be dilated down there.
Or just a whoop.
I'm a guy though, so take that with a grain of salt.
I don't feel like being pregnant anymore. Guess these last 8 months I just wasted everything. No one's doing that.
Raising children is the most blessed gift. And I speak as someone who, when I found out that I was expecting for the first time, I kid you not, I was terrified.
But you were prepared.
No. I was not necessarily prepared.
Yeah, why do people... I don't like this side. I don't like the feminist side. Because they're like, that was like disrespectful. Like, yeah, but you were prepared. And be like, wait, what? You don't know her story. Let her tell her story.
Not prepared. And I was very much caught off guard. And I was terrified because I had an incredible career happening for me.
Okay,
on
yeah,
the
my mic's
upswing.
on.
I had...
That would have sucked if I had to record this whole thing.
I had such a dramatic, fearful reaction to becoming a mother because of what our society has been telling me throughout my adolescence and my early.
This is how far I got to it before I started recording. I got this far while she was telling her story. And then it turns out she's the only one that's a mother out of all of them.
Early 20s is that once you become a mother,
yeah, we're like 9 minutes in it.
And it ends. And that is a very, very deeply rooted problem in our society that I do think we need to address.
That sentiment is the patriarchy in action, though.
What is the patriarchy?
What isn't the patriarchy? I feel like that's the better question.
That's not the better. You don't answer a question with a question, or you don't have an answer.
It's a systemic ideal that
a systemic ideal that favors
masculinity, men,
male power, male dominance,
the traditional idea.
I would think the patriarchy just means a man is in charge. Just like a matriarchy means a woman is in charge. Just like, well, rest in peace to the Queen, but, you know, the Queen in Great Britain. Well, that wasn't really a matriarchy because I don't think they really run by a monarch because they got a prime minister. I think the royal family is just a royal family. I don't think they have like control or something. I think they have control over a large amount of wealth and real estate, but I don't think that they can pass laws
of what a man is.
The patriarchy is a system that...
I don't know, though. If you're from Great Britain and you understand it, or even if you're American and you're just smarter than me, drop a comment below, let me know.
That oppresses not just women, but everyone.
It's not patriarchy because the people who scared me so much were the women mom bloggers.
Just because it's coming from a woman.
Coming from women does not mean
but
that
these
it's
were
not
the
from
no. These were the women, and I speak with really strong conviction about this. The women who are publicly outward speaking to other women through blogs, through social media, talking about my life is so hard because of my kids. Oh, my kids are jerks. Oh, life is this. I have no money. Those messages are very, very pervasive, and they're very dangerous. And
I can see that. I can see that. I like her too. She's got a good head on her shoulders.
They're also real parts of motherhood.
See, this side of the room is like they think logically, and this side they react emotionally. They think logically, they react emotionally. That's what I'm noticing anyway.
How many of you are mothers here?
I'm not a mother, but
okay.
See, I got to this part. And then I was like, hold on, let me start it over and record. Even though I already know this is gonna be a long ass video. It's gonna be long as hell.
And I know all of the very, very hard parts of motherhood. And I just wish, as someone who as the only person here who has gone through this motherhood experience, I, from the bottom of my heart, wish that the positive aspects of motherhood supersede all of the hard stuff.
Let's get back on prompt again. There's no wrong reason to get an abortion. Isabella, I want to hear from Isabella.
There's been so many points I want to talk about.
Talk about Candace, maybe. Candace, what she says about.
I don't even know what she said.
Oh, just let her talk.
Sorry.
So my parents actually had me when they were 19, and thank God they didn't abort me. They were not ready.
Yeah.
They were in a terrible situation, and having me at 19 made them grow up and mature and become adults and not continue being on a bad path.
Hell
so I'm thankful for that. And a lot of, something that you said it's society's, I think it was about society's pushing this idea, like demonizing motherhood, and you said that's part of the patriarchy. Well, I would ask you this, don't you think men benefit from women getting abortions because they no longer have to deal with it? They can just sleep around, and if, God forbid, a woman gets pregnant, oh, she wants to abort it. Cool, now I'm off the hook.
What is the patriarchy?
I don't even know what that men oppress us and like...
That everything that goes wrong, that men are to blame. And I don't think that's a healthy way of being.
Very happy to live under this so-called patriarchy.
This word patriarchy, it does not make any sense to me. Women...
Yeah, it's a weird thing that women in the West claim patriarchy. It's like, we have a woman vice president. That means if anything happened to Joe Biden, we would have a woman president. All because of an election where, everything is fair and equal. That's like the same thing in the last video with the men when they were talking about the wage gap. It's like, what do you mean a wage gap, dude? Like, you're like forgetting about a whole other side of data that you also have to analyze.
Are not oppressed in America.
Patriarchal society doesn't bother me. Like Marilyn Monroe says, as long as I can be all of a woman in it, I am not bothered.
The feminist movement is inherently racist.
I don't know about that. It's racist? Okay.
The feminist movement
I
does
didn't
not
know that.
benefit POC in any shape or form. It especially does not benefit Black women. And the darker your skin is, the more you are used. I call us Black women as the bullets for the feminist movement.
If we're talking historically, if we're talking how feminist movements started, it was an exclusionary movement.
Absolutely.
If we go back to the suffragettes or even further, Black women were not allowed to join in that effort because they really weren't fighting for Black women.
Until we were used as bullets.
Right.
If we're not being used, we can't be part of the movement.
They did use Black women. They used Black women's efforts because most of the most achievements that feminism, you're right, like most of the achievements of feminism have been done by Black women, and white women have stepped in and taken the credit for like people who do identify as feminists, especially those of us who are white. I think the most important thing for us to do is to sit down, shut up, and listen to Black women.
As a Black woman who identifies as a feminist, my work centers Black women. So to say that, you know, of course, like white women were able to vote before Black women. Like the feminist movement was inherently racist, but how I live my life and the way that the community that I've built around myself of Black feminists, we see.
But why label it feminism?
Well, you can label it whatever you want, but
helping other Black women.
I affirm you, and I see that the semantics
like,
makes you uncomfortable because feminism was racist, but you
it is still racist.
But you're not racist. So if you are not racist and you have issues that you want to be working towards for Black women, that doesn't mean that you're inherently being racist or helping white women. I think feminism exists on a spectrum.
I don't understand. I don't understand what she's talking about semantics. I feel like she doesn't really understand that word.
About semantics.
Because everything she just said made no sense.
Talking about terms, they evolve and they change. Ideologies change. And I think that feminism is evolving and changing. And I think it's because of the work of people like you. And so that's why I can confidently say
it's evolving. It's not evolving. I think it's devolving. You know, I think third wave feminism. I mean,
I've heard that opinion said a lot. That third wave feminism is like degression instead of progression.
By all accounts, I see, you know, again, have a very powerful Black mother, very feminist Black mother. And I would never forget this as she's battling cancer and I'm holding her hand in bed and she's married to my dad who's a very passive man. He's a professor, but very passive, and let her took the front. She waited for my dad to leave the room and said, maybe you can find a man to take care of you. And this is I'm sorry.
Damn.
My mom is like, she's like this thing that's bigger than life. She's so big, like untouchable, like, you know, like.
Respect your mothers. Always respect your mothers. Call your mother today. Tell her that you love her.
Powerful, and no one could tell her, and just to see her weak, and her only regret now is that she never got to rest and she never met a man to take care of her. Even though my dad is incredible in his own way, but she never experienced what it feels like to be a woman.
I accidentally paused it.
I refuse to. I would rather die alone than experience a marriage like that. After 40 years of fighting and being a feminist, you know, and she is now at her end. I mean, no one wants to say they did life wrong, but she's saying, man, I wish I could have taken care of myself. I wish I could have done this. I love how you get your hair done and you go get makeup done and you're so, and she says it, you know, like she wasn't there in the household to raise us, like back to motherhood, because she was gone fighting every single day for women's rights to come home and be exhausted by the time she gets home. And we never got to have a mother, you know.
When I scroll my own social media feed, I rarely see a powerful woman highlighted who is not an ethnicity. No. It's true.
They're using them as pawns.
They're using them as pawns.
Oh, 100%.
A lot of big brands are now hopping on this, you know, modern feminism bandwagon, which I don't agree with what modern feminism is. But
I feel like modern feminism made Velma, the new Velma. Like if you've seen the new Velma, I'm not even gonna watch it, and I'm not even gonna hate watch it. I'm just not gonna acknowledge it at all. It got like the lowest rating on Rotten Tomatoes. But that's what feminism gets you. What's that saying people say? Go woke, get broke, or some shit like that.
A lot of brands now, and I'll just say, you know, a big brand that comes to mind is Dove. Diversity is always a good thing. However, for years have not seen any kind of a ad campaign from the brand Dove speaking to women's empowerment that includes a woman that looks like us. What modern feminism today is lacking, I think, is genuine respect for diversity of opinion for all women.
If you felt modern day feminism didn't hijack all points of view of women, that you would still identify as a feminist?
Yes.
Well, I mean, the entire time everyone was talking, all I was thinking was, wow, I'm so sick of all these labels and all these different intersections. And these days there's more intersections than genders. And I'm just like, all these identity politics groups, we're just pitting each other against each other. Race keeps getting brought up. I know it's brought up in the prompt for this one, but in every single other one. And I don't even think about this. I don't even think that I'm not being represented even in ads. I don't care. It just does. I don't. Sure. I am me.
I'm sure you don't care.
You don't have to care.
Thank you for letting me know that. You always know, feminists always know best for me. That's what I've noticed. It's a trend.
I mean, I'm just pointing out that you are a privileged white woman who has not had to see the lack of diversity. When we step into a room filled with other white people, we don't notice that it's other white people. But when women of color have stepped into rooms and they see that it's just a bunch of other white people.
Also, intersectionality is not just about diversity, and it's certainly not about diversity in ad campaigns. It's about how poor women can't afford to drive to another state to get an abortion, but rich women can.
It costs more money to drive to get an abortion than it would take to raise that kid?
Well,
Just saying.
but that's the thing, right? Like, if you don't have the money to drive to get an abortion, how are you going to have the money to raise that child? Why should you be forced into motherhood?
Yeah, let's reset.
Feminists don't appreciate all that men do for society.
I would sit down. I would sit down for that one because I agree with that prompt. Yep, all of them are going to sit down. And then the feminists are like, what?
I've got a lot to say about this. Feminists just demonize men. They hate men. All men are trash. They say they hate men while simultaneously trying to become men. They hate them for having power and the patriarchy, so they're trying to overtake it. But a lot of women will talk about rape culture.
She's going off.
Guess what? Guess who's going to protect you from bad people? A man.
We
Women are
need
nurturers.
men.
We need men.
It's as simple as that. It's a God-given right for men to exist the way they were assigned to exist. We need men. It's very simple. We need men
So
to
beautiful.
procreate. We need men to provide. We need men to produce. We need men to go to war and die. We need men. It's so bad now that men they're so scared of us. They're terrified all the time. I go on dates with men and they're like, am I allowed to open the door? Can I not open the door? Can I touch it? Can I pull the chair out? What can I do? And they're shaking, they're sweating. And you're just like, be yourself. It's okay. They're so afraid of doing anything wrong. So much so they're now the most lonely demographic in the world, right? Like they straight white men, I heard, are now the most lonely because they just creating incels, They don't want to leave their apartment or their house because they're so afraid of women.
I'm not on board with this trend, especially happening in schools right now. There is a trend where they are raising up the girls. Girl power, girl boss, girl this, run like a girl in the best way possible.
You're gonna make me vomit.
That's now it's dangerous. It is dangerous because yes, we want to uplift our women. That's the right thing to do so that men and women do maintain equality. But at the same time, by raising the girls, we are forgetting about our boys.
Yeah, they want to solve inequality by enforcing more inequality. And if women were equal to men, then why do the girls need to be raised up so much? Why? The only men that feminists like are men dressing as women and dominating their sports and just really reversing what the other waves of feminism fought to do. Have fun with men beating you in your sports, women, because guess what? You're not going to beat them. Have fun. I never even felt unequal, so I don't even know what the problem is. I feel like a lot of people just want to have a reason to be upset and outraged. I also just don't identify with all these identity politics groups. I think they're being pit against each other, separating all these different people by race, class, gender, everything, sexual orientation, and I look at people as individuals.
All right, on that note, let's have the disagreeers step forward.
There's a difference between not appreciating men and pointing out the inequities that have been systemically put in place to favor men.
I feel like these feminists, the thing is, they have no empathy. They can't see things from a man's point of view. They can only see things from their point of view. They got tunnel vision. It's like they got horse blinders on, and they just see oppression, 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 oppression. That's all they see. So they don't see anything around them. They have no peripheral vision of men going off and dying in wars, or men having to fight other men that pose danger to women. Because, yeah, she's right. What are you're gonna call a woman to help you fight another man? No, you're gonna want a man to fight that other man. Or a woman, if it's a girl fight. Whatever. Or if it's not even a physical altercation. What if it's just like war in general? Like, you know, I was in the military, and even though I was in the military, there were females, but, you know, the females that I met in the military were more so like the anti-feminists in this video. Their ideals were more like in line with theirs than these radical female feminists.
White men, white straight men. There's a difference between hating men and pointing out that there are inequities.
I want to talk about this concept of protection. We're
Hmm.
talking about good men who are protectors. Who are they protecting us from?
Bad men.
Bad men, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Or bad
so-
women. Bad
Right.
anybody.
I could
Could
drive a
be
car
anybody.
and
It was a rhetorical. I guess.
No,
in some
I
ways a
understand the point you were trying to
rhetorical
make. That's
question,
why I
right?
said what
but
you
I'm
wanted
going
me
to
to say.
finish. So then, who benefits from men's bad behavior? Good men as well, right? They get to be positioned as the good guys.
Good apples.
They're the good apples, and that is predicated on the bad behavior of men.
No, they benefit from being a good person and protecting women.
What is she talking about?
We should not be praising people based off comparing them to bad people.
But I don't benefit from being a good girl. I don't
you know,
get
you're
to-
a good feminist, right? I'm sure people love what you have to say as a feminist. Other feminists agree with it and are like, yes, go girl
There are
boss.
good
They do.
people on earth and bad people on earth. We're always going to have that. That will never change. It's in every animal kingdom. So we need the good man to protect us from the bad man.
To go off of what you said, because you said when women are sexually assaulted, they turn to another man to protect them. I work as a sexual assault and domestic violence counselor. I work with rape victims every single day. They don't turn to men to protect them. They don't.
I didn't say they turn to them. I was saying
No,
like
that
they
I'm-
potentially can, if you're walking home alone at night and
I
you're
don't
afraid.
turn to another man. I don't. I turn to other women.
Yeah, I appreciate men that, like, I love a man that knows his place. Build the house. Yeah, repair that. Because I'm a goddess. Like, if you need to hold your weight in the relationship. Like, I appreciate men. I love men. Like, you know, just like you said, you know, you have a husband, you want to cook for your husband, you make sure that he's good. Men have roles in society as well. Feminist is anything you want it to be as a woman. I am promiscuous because I'm a feminist, but you can also be conservative because I'm a feminist. Modern day feminism is about you and what you make it, and not what someone 60 years ago said it was. But I don't praise men because they aren't raping. Like, you know, that's...
I agree with everything you just said.
You're agreeing with us.
I agree with you
the
fully.
same exact thing. Like,
yeah,
that's
but I
actually the
disagree with the
movement.
prompt because I do appreciate men. I don't think that feminists don't appreciate men. I think that's not true.
Like the person who taught me to be the feminist that I am was my father. My father
What?
did not raise me to believe that I was less than because I was a woman. He raised me to understand that I am societally disadvantaged, but he told me that I was going to rise above that.
My household, my mom was so strong that my dad became so emasculated that he cannot do anything. He stopped working. He became just like a couch potato, right? While she just went out there and kill it. And we are destroying family, as we know, because look at me. I'm in my 30s. I'm not settled down. I don't have children. I don't have this family unit that I want so terribly, because no matter how hard I tried, that feminism that I was raised with always tend to overshadow my relationship, because in my head I know best, right? Like, I know what's right. I know, because I saw it growing up. I saw it modeled to me growing up. Like, a woman knows everything. We're so powerful.
But the
We're
idea
so strong.
that men are supposed to be the head of the household, do you understand that that is killing men?
That's killing men.
It is killing men.
Well, let them
at
die,
an
because they need to go back to working.
The pressure of it, you mean, right? The pressure?
The pressure of it is destroying their mental health. That's why men are 6 times more likely to commit suicide
No, we're 6 times more likely to commit suicide because of feminists.
than women are, especially men in committed relationships. Men in their 40s that are married with families are the highest risk for suicide.
But it's killing men because we have generations and generations of boys who were not raised.
I wish I could just jump into this video and raise my hand and be like, no, men want to kill themselves because of feminism and everything that's going on in society.
To be men and rise to that occasion.
It's killing men because we are not in a position capitalistically where we can have men be the one single head of the household, the bread earner, the decision maker. We are no longer in the 1950s. Our economy is not able to handle that kind of nuclear family with the man being the head of the household, the stay-at-home moms and the 2.5 children.
It is possible.
I'm not a stay-at-home.
It is possible. And yeah, see, she's not a stay-at-home mom. She probably works.
I do work. So I do have perspective.
Yeah. So it doesn't, like, she's comparing it to the 1950s where it was like the men went to work and then the women stayed home and took care of the kids or whatever. But nowadays, nuclear family, the man and the woman can both go to work, kids go to school or daycare if they can afford it. That's what we should be working towards. Making affordable daycare for parents that can't afford it.
When you are in a long-term marriage or relationship with a partner of anyone, yes, you're going to have disagreements, but you also have to understand that each person in that partnership does have roles, because that is how a healthy family functions.
Only women should make laws about women's bodies.
Yeah, I believe that. They don't believe that?
I'm going to add a minor caveat to this and not say that, like,
if men vote,
just women should make laws about women's bodies.
If men vote, then stuff like Roe v. Wade being overturned can happen, and then that pisses off the feminists. So why do they want men to make laws about women's bodies? Women don't make laws about men's bodies. That would be weird.
And I think it's more important that people who are educated on the female body are the people who are allowed to make laws
That's
about
what
the
it should
female
be.
body. Like, we shouldn't have lawmakers making laws stating, oh, abortion is
because, like, there could be male doctors that know a lot about the female body. So yes, they should be able to make laws about women's bodies. But the uneducated, people who are uneducated, shouldn't be able to make laws about women's bodies.
completely illegal. Even if it's an ectopic pregnancy, you can reinsert.
You should have to have like
you're killing people if you
a certain degree or something.
It doesn't
like
mean
a women's
that
health
any of our
degree.
male lawmakers can't be involved.
And frankly, I think they need to be a little bit more involved. Some of them are slacking.
Yes.
They are letting me down.
Yes,
And you know,
absolutely.
I think there are a lot of men who hold a lot of power, who are on our side, who are not doing enough.
I want to say it's funny because I think you all spoke for us, because I think you all agreed that everyone should be involved in making these laws. We need men. You see how simple that was?
And men can be women these days.
Men can't be women if they actively identify as men. That's not a thing.
I currently identify as a man.
Okay, then you're a man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you agree that these laws that are specific about our bodies, shouldn't the originators of that bill talking about our bodies be women?
Answer that. Can y'all?
No. I don't think we should think about men versus women. I think we should have intelligent.
It's not about men versus women. Of course, men are going to be involved with creating laws and putting laws into place. But when we're talking about the language, when we're talking about verbiage for these laws, shouldn't a woman be, multiple women preferably, be
involved?
Yeah. Be at the forefront of what these laws look like for us.
I think it's less about a man versus a woman and more about the way society is now versus 50 years ago. People that you didn't even vote for, that are spending lifelong terms in Congress and such. You know, that's in the Supreme Court. That's more of an issue to me than worrying about if a man or a woman wrote this law or bill.
There's checks and balances to our government,
checks
but
and
I wanted to
balances,
ask you, would you, I'm a woman, I'm 100% pro-life.
Oh, you're a woman now?
I identify
She's
right
gender
now.
fluid.
I'm switching back. Okay. Cool. No, very fluid by the hour. But would you be okay with, so I'm a woman now, for now, and I am very pro-life. You're okay with women like me making these laws? Because you disagree with the outcome there. I'm assuming you're pro-choice, right?
But the law is, if we're talking about Roe v. Wade, right?
Yeah.
The law is about, it's not about your ideal of pro-life. It's about abortion. It's about bodily autonomy. If you don't want to get an abortion, fine. That's what it's all about. It's your choice.
Didn't the overturning of Roe v. Wade didn't necessarily make abortion illegal? It just didn't guarantee it just doesn't guarantee a federal protection anymore. And that's why they were talking about earlier, where now mothers have to drive to different states where it's legal and blah, 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 blah. But don't you think that you should live in an area? Like, why would you want to live in an area where abortion isn't legal? It's like weed being legal. Like, you wouldn't want to go move somewhere where weed is illegal when it's legal in like California, and that's probably why there's a lot of people in California now, or Oregon.
I want to sort of reverse it and ask you the question: should there be laws about women's bodies where there was no women involved? Because there certainly are.
Right, but we live in a system of government where there are states' rights, and I live in California, and guess what? I don't agree with anything our governor is doing. I don't agree with the majority that is...
See, my thing is, like, my current place, eventually I'll move. But I feel like whenever I settle down, like, and I'm guessing she's settled down, but she says she lives in California, but doesn't agree with anything that, what's his name, Abbott or something like that? No, I can't remember his name. Newsom, Governor Newsom. She doesn't agree with him. I feel like you should move somewhere where you agree with the laws.
In our state legislature, yet I live here and I choose to live here, and if I
That's
have a
the
problem
beauty
with
of
the laws,
having
then I have the
states.
opportunity to move to a different state.
So just fuck all the people who don't have the opportunity to move to a different state.
Everyone
then.
has opportunity to work, to
They
make
don't.
a life for themselves here in America.
They
What
don't,
I
though.
love about America
Yes, they
is
do.
that this is the only place on earth that you can work and achieve based on your merit.
I was raised by a single mom who, didn't have the...
I feel like everybody's
opportunity
raised
to
by a
really
single
mother
mom
me. So by the time I was
nowadays.
15, I moved out of her home. And I lived with a boyfriend at the time.
Isn't that funny? Why don't you think about that for a second? A lot of people, anecdotally, that I've been noticing, a lot of people have been growing up with single mothers. Sounds like a pattern.
I fought my school board for better sex education.
Oh, shit.
I fought my
That
senator.
scared
He
me.
voted to repeal funding for Title X and birth control.
was just the-
funding I relied on.
it was just
and I
the-
told him,
The Wire.
why would you deny me the American dream?
The Wire
And I
has
shared with him
this.
that birth
It
control
like tickled my
was
arm.
helping me to be successful, to go on to higher education. And now I'm on a full ride at Columbia University. I'm the first in my family to go to college. And in large part, that is because
That's
of access to
good.
birth control.
You guys mentioned that, not everyone has a bootstrap. And this is why feminism is such a weird topic to have in this particular country, because I'm from a developing country, I'm from Nigeria. Although my parents were quite successful, thankfully, but I grew up around poverty. I saw it every single day. And so to come to this country, to have to start over and make something of ourselves, and I see immigrants do it all the time. When you say things like, oh, I was raised by a single mother, or, most people don't have bootstraps, you're in America. That's like...
I was raised.
This is the place to
I was raised by my mom and dad, and I had a brother. So we kind of had that nuclear family thing. But both my parents were working.
This is the place to do it. Find that boots.
And then we grew up in suburbia. I've been to poverty-stricken neighborhoods though. But no, my dad made sure that our family grew up in suburbia. He's still working to pay off the house too.
And put it on.
No one's saying that there aren't
let's just
challenges.
find out.
We're saying that this is the best place
to do it. And
have
I
that
quickly-
challenge.
And I quickly want
the challenges are not distributed equally. Nobody said
Yes,
that.
they are. Let me just...
somebody did.
To say that only women should make decisions about women's bodies is completely unrealistic.
I have to believe that there is a future where that is possible.
Well, of course there's a future. More women than ever are serving in our government. Of course there's a future. So of course women always have a seat at the table.
You're at Columbia. Look at you. You moved out at 15. You're at Columbia. You're
Yeah,
here.
but when I graduated from UC Berkeley and I was in my lecture halls, there were 2 other black people, and it's 400 people in here. Like, that makes me uncomfortable.
It's not that we look at everything through an oppressive lens, it's that many of us hold different identities that allow society to continue to oppress us.
All that means is that there just wasn't an equal amount of black people to white people in her graduating class. That doesn't necessarily mean that doesn't represent the whole of the country. There could be black people going to school in different colleges.
A friend of mine had to travel across state for an abortion. She had the ability to select between paying for her disability, the things that she needs for her disability, or traveling for an abortion. Like, you guys don't have to think about that. She has to
Decision to have sex.
Get pregnant.
Unless it wasn't.
She
then
was
I'm
being
agreeing.
raped.
No, then I
With you, then I agree with you.
Okay,
Well,
But I shouldn't have to tell you that story for you to understand that there are certain things that you have not experienced that oppress other people. Oh, okay, you're just traumatized enough for me to understand that maybe things are hard.
Feminism that doesn't include trans women isn't feminism.
Pack a bowl real quick.
You surprised to see me here?
No.
Okay, good.
With these girls
it's really
talking, I need to
important
get
to
high.
include trans women and trans people and gender nonconforming people, which, by the way, I am gender queer myself. I don't actually identify as a woman. It's really important that those of us who do have privileges like speak up for trans women in the community, especially because they're the most at risk for hate crimes.
I also want to just level set and say that we are having this conversation without trans women, right? We are sitting here today having
Do we
that
know that?
conversation without
For
trans
sure?
women.
I identify as
She's
trans.
on a hold on. She identifies as non-binary, and she's on a feminist panel.
My pronouns.
So maybe she doesn't belong here either. They don't belong here.
Plot twist, I am biologically female and I'll never deny that. I lived as a woman for most of my life. I am 31. I only came out a couple of years ago. I spent a lot of time, the majority of my life in these spaces with women that does give me a kind of unique perspective now being a trans non-binary person.
There's an issue with categorizing
That stuff is
womanhood
confusing to
as
me.
a means of female. Earlier, it was mentioned by somebody on the anti-trans side about
I don't want to
trans
offend
women
anybody
coming in
though,
and
but it's
taking
just
over
confusing
sports
to
and
me.
things like that, which is just not true.
That is true.
It's not.
It is.
It's
I can
not.
show you a number
I
of
can
cases.
show you
there
a
might be
number
people
of
How much
that
more
want to
time are they
have
going to be
it.
arguing
Men
for?
retain, trans women retain 30% of their biological.
Just a heads up, if you're watching this during the premiere, there is still about 20 minutes left. So yeah, they really did let these women go off.
Advantage
That is not
if they
true.
went through male puberty. Yes, it is.
That is
yes, it is.
That is not.
Let's not argue
backed
it. That's not even the prompts. We're not going to argue about that.
because you're wrong.
If you are a trans woman and you walk out in the world and you are seen as a man, you do not belong in women's spaces. I don't care what anybody says. I think that's ridiculous, and I think even trans women that have gender dysphoria that go through transition will agree with me.
This makes me so incredibly uncomfortable that we're even having this conversation.
You could go back
about
over
them.
there if you really wanted to.
If we took all of that off the table, right? If we're not talking about
What are they going to fight? Why are women so aggressive towards each other? This panel has been more aggressive towards each other than the men panel.
who can play sports with whom, can people exist as who they are?
Absolutely.
It sounded like you were saying if a trans woman doesn't look like what you perceive as looking like a woman, they shouldn't be in feminist spaces.
I didn't say that. I said they shouldn't be in female spaces.
Okay.
Not feminist spaces.
Okay.
I think women.
I disagree with that, but
that's
okay.
fine. It makes sense to biologically classify people. It also makes sense to socially classify people. Let's say my friend Blair White was sitting right here. It's my buddy. Love her. She's sitting right here. Do I think she lives her life as a man? No. Like we were talking about men making decisions for women as far as abortions are concerned. That's something she'll never experience.
There are women who biologically cannot produce. There are females, people assigned female at birth, who biologically cannot produce. Are you saying that those female women should not be able to have say in those laws?
That's
either?
not what I'm saying at all.
What are they
I guess my main
talking about?
issue with trans women being seen as women and not being seen as trans women is they're changing the definition of women and expecting everybody to go along with that. And that affects me, yes they are, and that affects me directly. You say trans women are women are trans women. It's a very different experience.
Trans women are women.
We're just going to agree to disagree with that. If you ask feminists at a women's march what a woman is, they can't even define it. How can you protect something and empower something that you don't even know the actual definition of?
Yeah.
Well, I will say J.K. Rowling calls herself a feminist and was canceled for not being pro-trans, which is kind of overtaking and reversing some of the work feminists have done in the past.
She's a billionaire.
Well, they criticize
she's
her.
Fine.
She's fine. Her billionaire
fine.
feelings are hurt. I'm so saddened for her.
Feminist movement does not allow anyone to have any other opinions but what you guys
But what
think
is
is
that?
Is J.K. Rowling actually?
have that opinion.
Wait, is J.K. Rowling a billionaire? I don't know about that. Maybe I'll check, and then I'll put up her net worth right here, right there. Yep, that's her net worth. This is my editing. All right, let's get back to it.
And she still makes a bunch of money.
Yes, she does.
What do trans women take away from women in the feminist movement?
The definition of words and what that means and how that affects us directly. When you change,
can you expand on that?
Yes, when you change the word woman legally, it has implications. Sexually, it has implications.
Yeah.
But the word woman
directly
has changed throughout histories, throughout different cultures.
What do they
Indigenous
mean?
people have had different genders, different ways of looking at gender. The Torah specifically has 8 different genders, and we have recognized that for over 3,000 years. You're denying anybody's culture that does not agree with your perception and your worldview because you hold so highly onto your identity and you see it as an attack on who you are.
On sexual orientation.
Feminists as a
But
whole,
it's
though.
nothing to do with sexual
It has exactly to do with sex. When you change the word woman and a lesbian is a woman that is attracted to women, how is that not directly affecting us?
What defines a woman is being born with biological women's parts, and that is what a woman is. And trans women are individuals who choose to live their lives as women, and I honor that. And everyone deserves dignity and respect, and I mean that. But at the same time, there are universal truths, and we have, as a society, gotten to this confusing, tangled place where there's your truth, your truth, your truth, your truth. There is one objective truth in what we are.
Can you explain to me the women in Guatemala who are born female, who are assigned female at birth, and then during puberty grow penises?
I can't explain it because I don't know anything about
that. Sounds like an intersex condition.
She just brought up like some Willy Wonka idea. Like, what the hell are you talking about? That's a weird ass red herring.
Our feminists always try to tell us how we should live our life.
Or a straw man, whatever it is.
I don't believe that.
I don't see that. I don't in what you've been saying. I can't see any traces of feminism in what you're saying.
My mother is literally.
We heard a lot about your mom, but what about you?
I am a woman. Looking at me, I am a woman, born and raised a woman. Why are we trying to write women, born biological women? Why are you trying to write us out of history?
You guys keep saying that there's a biological reality of male and female. Scientists do not agree with you.
Scientists that you choose to agree with. I mean, you can find a study and a scientist to back up anything you want to prove these days.
I choose to do peer-reviewed studies and not ones that are backed by political agenda. And I'm sorry that my peer-reviewed studies tend to agree with the fact that trans women are women and that biology, it does not exist in a binary. Never has and it never will.
I secretly crave men's approval.
What?
Men's approval has kept me safe in so many ways. Being desirable, being fuckable has kept
What?
me safe many
She
a
said
time.
being
And
fuckable.
it's no secret. I guess that's where I disagree. It's no secret that sometimes men's approval is what stands between me and safety.
I firmly believe that the reason why I waited so long to come out with my transness is because I was afraid of losing male approval. It is so embedded into our society. I really pushed myself to present in a way that wasn't authentic to me for men.
I'm trying to unlearn this like very actively and trying to fight for nobody's approval but myself. Like, because it's not even that I should have men's approval or I should need men's approval or women's approval. I should need my own approval.
Yeah, and I mean, this prompt I think might be surprising for some folks to see us sitting here.
Yeah, because we're like so feminist,
sure.
but like,
But it's a reminder that this work doesn't happen in a vacuum. And that because I am implicated in what is happening, right, in the issues, I am implicated in the issues, that's why I do the work. Because I am impacted by them.
I've never thought of a moment where I thought to myself, oh, I wish that man would find me sexy because I feel so empowered in myself. I always dress like this from head to toe, covered usually from head to toe, and I don't think I've ever experienced a moment, perhaps subconsciously, but I don't think I've ever. And, you know, I think that's also why, you know, with my platform now that I switched from a raging feminist to femininity, which I was, and you can't tell me what I was and who I was. I had the shaved head, the armpit hair, all of it.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. And when I went from that to that, now I teach women how to like dress modern and cover up and be feminine and soft and all of that.
Who are you dressing modern and modest for?
For myself, because it empowers me. I am Nigerian first and foremost, and because of that, in our culture, we've always been very modest. We didn't even have a word for it. It's just that's how women dress. We layer on top of layers on top of layers. And I remember when I first, you know, became a
feminist and like movements and I would show skin, I always felt so uncomfortable.
Why did you feel uncomfortable with showing your skin? I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm just asking out of curiosity why you felt uncomfortable, like what the root of that discomfort was.
Because it's not who I am.
But I also think we'd be denying reality if we said when we put clothes on the morning, we didn't think about the way that we would navigate the world in them, right? The way that people would perceive us and think about us. And it's definitely worth noting that, like, you know, clothing choices.
The girl in the
also
pink,
about access.
she's very well spoken, and she does seem pretty. What, I forgot what college she said she went to.
To power, access to moving through spaces, being seen as acceptable
yeah.
in certain spaces, right?
Like covering up, not necessarily because you feel like that empowers you, but covering up because it's a sense of safety. Like so many, like one of the things that we have to, with my job, we have to correct officers on, like when an assault victim comes forward, like they're not allowed to ask what were you wearing, like,
Yeah,
but that's because it's very bad. It's very dehumanizing because it implies that
It was their fault.
That it was their fault.
I think we can all agree on
Yes.
that. I was assaulted fully clothed when I was only 12 years old. So,
That's
you know,
okay.
trust me, I know.
We're gonna have a prompt that has to do with this.
Cool.
Yeah, I just don't really care about men. Like, men are not a part of my day. When I wake up in the morning, I think about how to be the baddest, how to step into myself. So if that's looking like you from head to toe or showing a little cleavage, like it's gonna be what it is. And men are gonna like, the men I attract, they like me because I am like no one else they've met. Like they've never really experienced this new person. It's like you don't know what their approval is. Like especially when it comes to things like race and preference, and like nothing that I do is gonna really be approved by men ever. So I might as well just do me.
But I do just want to say that men's approval, once again, it's not just about if they want to date you or marry you or have sex with you. It is about if they want to hire you, if they want you to be a part of their organization or their school. And so when we talk about wanting men's approval, we're talking about if they want to hire me, if they want to let me have access to that social mobility, and if they will allow me to be safe walking down the street or in a bar. Men's approval is so much deeper and more systemic than just romantic.
Are we allowed to, I have
What's
to
the
agree
next
with
round?
that, even though we're on the opposite end of this, because, you know, I'm a blogger and I write about women's, like, makeup. And
I don't want to skip ahead.
Dove is one of the brands that I am the face of. And when I go into those meetings, they are white men. And although I do not go into it thinking, oh my God, I should seek their approval, I do know that the way I dress conservatively gets me those checks.
And probably as a black woman, how you wear your hair as well.
Oh yeah, they love this hair. Oh, they love it. They love it. They love it.
I was trying to push you before.
No, I do that. But that's also how I was raised, and it's cultural. Nigerian women are very conservative by nature.
It's rational for women to fear men.
Yeah.
Working with
I agree.
sexual assault and domestic violence victims every single day, it has completely just reopened my mind and
But I'm also,
because I am a sexual assault survivor.
while I do think it's rational for women to fear men, I do also believe that it is possible for women to properly defend themselves and not always have to seek help, like what we were talking about earlier, like a good guy saving a girl from a man. Like, that's why I'm a huge Second Amendment, believer. I believe women, like, if a woman had a pistol on her hip, a dude ain't gonna try to rape her. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Or like even a taser. Even something as simple as a taser. It doesn't even have to be a full, you don't even have to be fully decked out like John Wick. All you need is a taser or some pepper spray. I'm telling you, pepper spray fucking sucks. So if you really want to piss someone off, do pepper spray. Pepper spray is probably the best one because you can spray it in their eyes and then boom, it hurts them. It effectively thwarts their vision, so they're just thrashing about, and you can escape. You don't even have to punch them, or you can spray them in the face with pepper spray, and then kick them in the balls. Kick them in the balls right after you spray him in the eyes. I'm telling you, as a guy, that will make him never do it ever again. I'm telling you, I promise you. Like if you try this and it doesn't work, feel free to come to me, and I will compensate you.
Survivor myself, which is why I got into the work that I do. It's every single woman, almost.
spray a dude in the face with some pepper spray and then kick him in the balls. That shit would hurt so fucking
or in
bad.
a space with a man, and that man made her feel unsafe. And if every single woman has a story like that, it's rational.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why, again, I know I'm bringing this back to the trans issue, but that's what, again, why I think it's important to define what a woman or man or male or female is. Like, if it's just something in your head, then why do we logically have to be afraid of that specific thing if it's just something, a gender in your head?
So
there are biological differences that can make us fearful or make men react certain ways that are different than women.
Yes and no, but
but
there's absolutely a different perception of a trans woman than a man. Like, when, in my experience, when women are with, like, in the same room as trans women, they're not as fearful of, like, oh my God, this person could assault me, because the likelihood of trans people assaulting women is so small. Like, it's practically
And there's
not.
a reason for
There's
that.
a reason for that.
I agree with that.
And
Actual trans women. My point.
Trans women, period, not actual or inactual.
No, there is a thing. People that are claiming the trans identity but are not trans.
That's against the prompt.
That's true.
Men are not only scary because of their biological difference, they're strong or whatever, right?
Now everybody's starting to say that's against the prompt. It's helping the conversation move forward.
The violence is that men can be abusive, harmful, and get away with it.
It's the systemic power.
It's the systemic power that is scary.
The reason that 90%
Point the microphone to my
of
face.
sexual assault cases go unreported is because of, like, roughly the 8% that are reported.
I wonder if I gotta fix up my
92%
setup.
of them actually face consequences.
And we seem
I
to
think we all
agree.
agree.
Yeah.
Everyone agrees.
Right.
Some of my deepest, I honestly would say probably my deepest trauma is actually not my physical sexual assaults. It was the manipulation that I faced in the workplace by someone who was not necessarily physical with me, but they manipulated me. They used their power to paint me in a light and push me out of that job that I loved.
I'm so sorry you experienced that.
I agree, like, the stats will say a trans woman, which I would say is a man, a trans woman, it is less likely, like very unlikely to attack. But it's not even, it's really kind of the principle. It's like, but if they were to, they would beat me up.
But then I'm going to take that one step further, which is that if they were to, and then the police were to come, what would their experience be like versus yours as a white woman?
I'm not talking about the cops. It's just me and
But
the
the
trans
cops are
woman.
a factor.
I actually hate the cops. Just saying. I don't like cops.
If you see a male person and you see
I hate cops
a
too, and I
trans
used to
woman,
be a cop.
Like, what does that have equal amounts of fear for you, or is there a difference?
So my thing, I'm trying to focus in on a trans woman wants to beat me up.
Why are trans women wanting to beat you up?
No, that's not. I'm saying hypothetical.
She's saying
It's
hypothetical.
I'm just saying, like, can we all agree that I would get my ass beat?
But I'm saying...
Well, yes or no? I mean...
yes, maybe,
so
but then how would the experience be outside of just that hypothetical vacuum?
I'm not talking about
No,
this.
I want to finish my thought, because
that's not the prompt, though.
No, but it is the prompt, because we're talking about... We can't talk about this in a hypothetical vacuum.
What's the prompt?
The prompt was that it's rational for women to fear men, but you're bringing in trans women when the discussion is men.
It's not about physicality for me. It's about power.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, why are they talking about
And that's what I'm
trans
saying,
people?
is that-
That's weird. I just noticed that. It just says it's rational for women to fear men, and then, like, bringing trans stuff into it is weird. Just say cis women fear cis men, because I'm guessing that's what they mean.
That situation is so unlikely, and it is unlikely because of the difference in societal power that you hold over a trans woman.
That's not exactly true.
For people who love to
I understand what you're saying.
love to criticize other people for assuming genders incorrectly, you love assuming how things are going to happen and, like, predict the future and how situations play out and how I'm treated by everyone else.
Well, you're hypothetical. That's a hypothetical. You're also
assuming what would happen to me.
You're assuming they would beat you up.
A man would beat me up. Yes. Yes.
You're assuming a trans woman would beat you up.
We'll be specific. A male.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. You want to avoid answering that part and going to this bigger, broad thing to avoid. If there's a biological man, a trans woman.
I disagree with you on the definition here.
Biological male.
But I'm a
We'll say male or female and gender man or woman.
I'm a biological woman who is roughly of like not too big of difference of size. I could easily beat you up. So why are you more afraid of them than me when I present just as equal of a difference to you? It's because of your...
No, you obviously could be
because
man would beat me up more.
No, you said this 5 minutes
Why are they
ago.
talking about
Men-
beating each
males,
other up?
Not men. Males create, what do you say, 90% of...
Did you notice that? They just all of a sudden started talking about, oh, you could beat me up. Oh, you could probably beat me up. I could beat you up. Blah, blah, blah. They're like, what the fuck? Sounds like they want to fight. I wonder if
Males
they...
create 90% of the crime?
I wonder if they fought after this.
I didn't say that.
There was something like that.
I
though.
said I was talking about reports of sexual assault, and that does actually include male assault victims.
Right.
And most of
them are males.
And most of the male
That's
assault
my point.
victims, their assaulters were also men.
That's my point. Right.
Hi. Okay, so let's start by saying the conversation that I just listened to, I don't disagree with much of what we were talking about. When this prompt was asked, I interpreted the prompt to say, to communicate, it is rational for women to fear all men. I know that the word all was not in there, but that's how I sort of understood it, which I don't think it's rational for women to fear all men. I think that's very tragic. We know that there are bad men. We know that there are very, very good men. And I personally think that the amount of good men exceedingly overwhelms the amount of bad men, but that's just my
Oh yeah, I didn't.
I
oh,
also,
that's crazy.
Quite frankly,
I didn't think of the
fear
prompt that
women.
way.
I do. I fear how manipulative women can be to each other in the workplace. I fear how manipulative women can be to each other and how toxic women can be to each other when it comes to polarizing topics like we've discussed here, motherhood, other very incendiary topics.
We're talking about physical abuse with men, and actually with emotional abuse, it's most common in lesbian couples.
Really?
So,
Yeah, that is actually...
You would know,
no,
you deal
there,
with it. It's
there is
horrendous.
actually a statistic.
Horrendous.
Women are equally as likely to commit domestic violence. I genuinely, when I got into this work, I thought that it was going to be like, oh, just men commit domestic violence. No, women are
Really
equally
bad.
as likely to commit domestic
But
violence.
why were you surprised by that?
Because I had a different definition in my head of what domestic violence was before I got my training. Domestic violence is not just like punching, hitting, or physical violence. Oftentimes it's emotional violence, psychological violence, sexual violence, financial violence, legal violence, and women are far more likely to commit psychological domestic violence or emotional domestic violence.
But why were you, with your original
That's an interesting little tidbit of fact or whatever.
definition, the more violent definition of domestic
Like
violence?
physical violence?
Yeah, physical violence. Why were you surprised that, oh, women...
I wasn't surprised that
Like
women
you
commit
assumed that
physical.
men would.
No, I wasn't
commit
surprised
more,
that
though.
women commit physical violence. Physical domestic violence. I assumed that under the I assumed that there was one definition of domestic violence, and that was physical. And statistics do show that men do commit physical domestic violence more than women do. That's just a fact. But
Like
when you add in all other kinds of domestic violence, women commit it at equal rates.
Yeah, that's a wrap on the group discussion. Take a breath
All
for
right.
a second.
I do appreciate the ways in which we have been able to come together and agree.
This was
because
a long video.
I'm of the opinion that feminism and anti-feminism, they do oftentimes blend, because I think a lot of the times
It was a good
we
video,
are
though.
Misunderstanding what the other person's
We all want.
What'd you
what's
guys
good
think of
for
the video?
women.
That's what I said over there.
We
I
just
said
have
we
a
all want
different
it.
idea
Of
of
what
what's
that
good for
is.
women. Yes, but we all want the.
All right, let me make sure I like the video. Yep, I liked it. All right, that's it for this video. It was a very long one, but if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Make sure you smash that like button. Also, subscribe so you can become a lurker. You can join the lurker gang. We always lit over here. And then hit the notification bell so that you can be notified anytime I make a drop. Till next time, peace, lurkers.
Thank you.